would you like to give a report?
Yes, I want to give a NASTAF report, National Automotive Service Task Force. It's a task force of 15 members. Just want to go back and for a few that are new here. ASCCA financially supports NASTAF. We have, there's 15 board members and 2 ASCCA members are on their board, myself and Scott Brown. And the National Automotive Service Task Force is there to provide, actually NASTAF's big thing is the key code registry and vehicle security professional licensing. But its other hats, or one of them is making sure that us, the independent repair shops, get all the service information we need. You know, recently there was, Ford went down their website, their flashing capabilities, and Volkswagen, and those things that happen like that we're attuned to, and we can help our members if, you know, there's a problem. But anyway, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Gene, would you like to give a report?
Sure, thank you, and again, welcome everybody. I do a government affairs report, trying to keep you informed on what's going on. Our committee is part of the state organization, and we'd encourage and invite all of you to participate and or join. It's very enlightening and very frustrating at the same time. What I'm going to talk about, Joseph has already sent out to you the list of the latest bills, and then our organization also joined the coalition to oppose Prop 15, so that, and hopefully educate your customers and anybody and everybody else. So this is one of the flyers that was sent out, and so I encourage you to print them and share with folks who want to vote. I'll talk about this at the end. But the good news is yesterday was the last day. The legislators were in session, so we have a reprieve for a little bit. They did quite a bit of carnage to us, it looks like. The workers' comp bill we were opposing, which puts the presumption on us as workers, which we have to prove that a person did not get COVID from our shop versus the employee has to prove otherwise. So this is going to increase our work comp costs, we're pretty sure. The good news is the other work comp coronavirus, which we opposed, died. So we're 50%, one passed, one failed. And again, you should have this information. Joseph sent out. If you didn't get it, email Joseph and he will send it to you. The other scary one is employee notification of the COVID-19. Again, we're opposed to that. It's sitting on the governor's desk. We're pretty sure he's going to sign it, but that would give you 1 day to notify everybody you've came in contact with if somebody in your company contacts coronavirus. So that's going to be interesting, and they have a fine structure in place for that. So we'll have to see how all that, when it says enrolled to the governor at the bottom, that means it's sitting on his desk and most likely he will sign it. So, and if he doesn't sign it, it automatically goes into law anyway, so it doesn't matter, honestly. The other bill expands the California Rights Act. The bill would give employees with companies with employees of at least 5 employees granted up to 12 weeks of unpaid family care. I'm going through that right now. I had one of my employees had a baby. He said, "See ya, I'm gone for 8 weeks." And I don't have to pay him, but still I'm without an employee for 8 weeks. So this bill will expand that to 12 weeks. So that's 3 months off instead of 2 months. And again, we oppose that, but it's sitting on the governor's desk. Also, another hazardous waste bill. They want to create another board. Of course, all we need is another board to regulate us within Cal EPA and oversee the Department of Toxic Controls. Most of you pay, you know, I think I pay, it's up to $1,500 now a year for a lot of hazardous waste stuff. I'm sure this will increase that. One good news is it looks like it's going to pass is a business hiring tax credit. So if you hire a person, and Norm will know about this, if you know Norm, you get $1,000 tax credit for a person if you hire a person in the next 3 months. So I don't think you can fire everybody and rehire them and get the tax credit, but you know, what the heck. But anyways, that's good news for us. Also, good news is they were trying to pass a bereavement bill which gave 10 days of unpaid leave for death of a spouse or parent or sibling that died, so that did not pass. The Bureau of Auto Repair, and you can call Mario at the El Monte office. Mario is a really helpful, great individual. If you need a contact at the Bureau of Auto Repair, call Mario. Super sharp guy, super helpful. But they have a new shop locator, and again, it's here on the handout, so you can go and see if your shop is on there, and it's kind of a new thing that they're trying to do. Bar Cite and Fine, the Bureau of Auto Repair Cite and Fine is still kind of in the works. There's going to be a presentation at the advisory committee October 22nd. We'll try and send you the link out, so if you want to watch it, you can watch it. But it's always interesting to see. Dave Kuza is our state board member. He's a member of the bar advisory group, so he will be on there. And then the last thing on my list is the Proposition 15, which is called the split roll. And it takes away the Proposition 13 portion for commercial and industrial properties, which means if you bought a property for $500,000 20 years ago and it's worth $5 million today, you will be paying instead of you know, $5,000 a year in taxes, you'll be paying what, about $50,000 a year in taxes. So it jumps it up to the current value, not 50,000, but it'll raise it quite a bit. And so most folks, if you calculate it out, if you're paying rent or a lease, it puts it up to at least $1,000 or more per month you'll be paying to cover the taxes if you're in a net lease. So we're encouraging you to oppose this. Every union, everybody in government is for this, so it's going to be a tough battle. So we need to jump on it now. Print the flyers, educate yourself, educate your customers, and hopefully we won't get run over like we did with the gas tax. Now, there are many other propositions. I'm not sure how in-depth you would like to hear about them. I will be sending out, or Joseph will be forwarding information. If you have questions or don't understand them, please call me. If I don't know, I can find out. So please be informed is all I ask all of you when it comes to voting. And please vote and encourage all your staff and everybody to vote. It is your right. So that's it for the government affairs report. One quick thing. I am a board member of the ASCCA5, which is the state's educational foundation. And I think most of you know, but we're pleased that we're able to do 36 scholarships for worth about $18,000 that all of you have donated, cars and money, and our sponsors. So really excited about that. I think all time we've done about $250,000 in scholarships, if I remember correctly. So your organization does a ton for you by having young people in school so you can hire them and have employees in the future. So again, I would encourage you, we're looking for board members for that, or the ASCCA5. It's not a huge commitment. So if you're new and you don't know what this is all about, at least sit in on the meeting so you can see what's going on, and then maybe you'll have an interest and you can join the board and move forward. So with that, I'm muting and shutting up.
Hey, Gene. So,
Yes, Rob.
Okay, so 500,000 to $5,000 a year. You were absolutely correct. It will go up to, if it goes up to $5 million at current rate, it will be $55,000 a year. So
Right.
you were correct.
Okay, well, thank you. I calculated it in my head. I didn't write it down. And I wasn't sure, but thank you. It's a scary proposition if it passes. And, you know, our state has enough money right now and we get taxed to death already. And if you want your rent to go up, you know, by 10% or 20% sometimes, then don't do anything and let the bill go through. So let's fight for this one if we can.
Exactly. This is not just for the property owners. This is also for people that are paying rent. It's going to go up. And at the end of the day, the consumer is going to be picking up the bill. So you really want to use those signs that Gene and everybody else have made up and distribute them towards to your customers in order to so they know exactly what they're going to be looking at. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim, how would you like to give a report? Got to unmute, Tim.
There we go. All right, I'll keep it short and sweet for the sake of time. We'll do programs, seminars. I've got nothing at this point, but as far as programs, next month we have Bob Cooper, who's going to be our speaker, and we're looking forward to that. I don't have a blurb on what Bob is going to be speaking on, but same bat time, same bat channel, actually perhaps at 6:30. As far as the chapter reps report, the one thing that I want to emphasize is September team weekend. September team weekend is going to be done digitally through Zoom, which we're really excited about. So hopefully you can come back. If you need more information, please take the time to go to ASCCA5.com and go to the calendar section. You'll get a wealth of information in regards to that. The other point I'd like to bring out is that our membership is growing. As you can see, we've had Roberto, who's joined our chapter as well. And we're having a promotion right now for any other shop owners that are new shop owners that are joining. If you prepay for 2021, we will waive all of 2020, all of your dues. And we'll also give you $100 off your chapter dues for 2021. So if you know other shop owners like Roberto that are interested, that are humble, hungry, and honest and want to learn and be part of this great association, this is the time to go ahead and let them know about it. So that's what I have as far as reports go. I'd like to extend a very warm thank you and a welcome to Maylan Newton, who's joined us this evening. Maylan is from ESI, Educational Seminar Institute. He's been in the industry about 30 years. He's a big supporter of ASCCA. We've had him many times at our chapter meeting. Now we're looking forward to hearing what he has to say in regards his subject that he's going to be discussing today, which is, don't just sit there, do something. So Maylan is, if you know Maylan or have any conversation with him, you can tell that he's absolutely genuine from the heart, and he wants not only the best for the shops, but also for the industry. If you have any questions, feel free to contact him. He does 30 minutes of consultation or any answering of questions per month. So if you're not a member, contact him, he will help you. If you are a member, you owe it to yourself to contact him. You will absolutely learn an awesome amount of information. One thing that I've really loved about Maylan is he definitely holds you accountable. So with that being said, let's go ahead and turn the floor over to Maylan Newton. And thank you for taking the time on short notice to come and join us, Maylan. Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. Let me see if I can get the presentation up on this on the screen.
Can you let us know how Mitch is doing first, Maylan?
Yes, let me get my screen up so I can feel comfortable with that, and then I'll do that for you. So hang on one second. Okay, I think that you can see my screen. So I had a chance to message Mitch today. And for those of you who don't know, I've known Mitch for as long as I've been in the automotive business. At one time, I managed to shop around the corner from him, and I also sold him tools as a Snap-on dealer. So I texted him today and just asked him how he was doing and if there was any message he wanted me to pass on to you today. So I'm going to just kind of give you a rundown. He said, just spoke to the pulmonary doctor, and the consensus is to be a viral pleurism, extremely painful, but ultimately treatable. Still in lots of pain and discomfort, but I should be home by the weekend. And he asked me to tell all of you to stay healthy because the alternative sucks rocks. Tell him that I also missed him. So just wanted you to know that that he's doing better, and he'll be home this weekend, we hope, if everything goes right. So hopefully, Joseph, you can see my screen. Yes? Okay.
I was not in my head silently.
So what this class was commissioned by is the Automatic Transmission Rebuilders Association. So I'm giving you the same one that I did at their Powertrain Expo. And the idea behind this was we have massive amounts of information, and the real problem is using it. So we'll go through some of this quickly, but most of it will take some time, and please make sure that you ask your questions. So we've all heard this saying that says knowledge is power. I think everybody in the world has heard knowledge is power. And you know, those of you who know me know when I hear this, I throw the BS flag, because knowledge is not power. It's important, but it's not the main thing. The implementation of the knowledge is actually the power. Now, I'm here to tell you that everybody on this meeting tonight has lots of knowledge. And the difference between the people who are successful and the people who aren't successful, it really lies in two things. It's combating their ego so that they can use the knowledge they have. And in our male-dominated automotive repair world, ego is a big thing. And we need to tone that down, and we need to start looking at knowledge and taking whatever we have for knowledge and implementing it and doing things different. There's way too much information out there. Google processes more than 40,000 searches every second. And in fact, I would venture a guess to say probably everybody on here today, possibly, Googled something. So that adds up to be 3.5 billion searches just on Google a day. And if you add in all the other search engines, such as Bing and all the other ones, there's so many of them I can't remember, including YouTube, there are over 5 billion searches a day. So that tells me there's a huge amount of information out there. And in fact, over the last 2 years, 90% of all the data in the world was generated. And 25 years ago, we were generating the New York Times newspaper, which was one of the largest newspapers at the time. We were generating that much new information every other day. So if you think about the complexity of life, the things that are going on, you know, just the legislative things that Gene was talking about, there's over 2,000 bills introduced every year. There's lots of information, and we just got information tonight. But if you don't act on that and implement the knowledge you just gained and don't vote, this time next year, you'll be complaining about how much your property taxes cost you and how you had to pass that on to your clients. So this is why this is such an important aspect of your life. It's not about the information you get, it's about implementation. And when I'm coaching clients, that's one of my biggest frustration points. That's why I have a very flat forehead, because I hit my head on the desk. Because we talk about the things we need to do, and everybody nods their head and smiles and says, yes, I'm going to do that. And then they go right back to the old way of doing things. And, you know, like Jim said he's the third or fourth generation in his repair shop. And next time you see him, ask him, are you doing business today the way your great-grandfather did, or even your father? And the answer is going to be no, because as things progressed and changed, we've had to change. It's not a lack of information that's keeping us down. It's a lack of implementation of what we learn.
And
And
Maylan, sorry to
yes.
interrupt you, but there's that box in the middle of the screen that says, please move this. Is that on your screen?
Oh, I don't know. I see a box, but I don't know. How's that?
It's faded a little bit. But there we go. Now it's gone.
Okay.
Oh,
All right. I apologize. Thank you, Joseph.
it's back.
So I don't even know how do I get rid of that? I need a 12-year-old kid.
Hey, Maylan, try
Yes.
going with the slideshow if you can, and see if that'll go away with that.
It is on the slideshow.
No, doing the bottom there where he's got the little. Try that. Over the other side. I mean, right next to there's that little thing that looks like a TV on a stand.
You're asking the blind guy.
Try that. There you go. See if that makes it go away. There you go.
Okay. So I took they do a what's called the Powertrain Expo every year. And this happens to be a set of binders from that show. There's a binder for every show. And so I had factual information to go off of. So I used their show as an example of the amount of information that's generated in just one show. So there's just too much information at the expo. They've done the expo for 25 years. I've been involved with it for 13 or 14. And I speak at it every year. For example, it was supposed to be October in Nashville. We're going virtual this year. But there are approximately 1,000 pages of management and technical information passed out at this show every year for 25 years. And this is one show. So do the math. The real question is, did they have enough information? I think they do. But the question we have to ask ourselves is what gets implemented? And here's the funny thing about us. The technical information, we jump on. I mean, we jump on that like bees on honey. And we implement that and we start trying to do it and we learn it. And what's happened is our businesses are not getting us paid for the knowledge we have. And this is one of my big points, is you need to get paid for what you know, not what you do. And this is implementation. So it's about getting paid for the knowledge. You don't pay a doctor for cutting you. You do you know, I'm taking your appendix out. You get paid for him to have the knowledge of how to do that. So you think about all this information that they've generated at a great expense, and that nobody or the majority of people don't implement it. Because I guarantee you, if you've been going to Expo for 25 years, you have those binders on the shelf, they're dusty. A lot of you have been to our 2-day service writer school, and I ask all the time, there's a copy of that in your service writer school book. You know, you have a copy of that form. And most people have, well, I got to find it. That should be a reference manual for you. You should go back through it. That's why the manual is 180 pages long. So let's talk some real down-to-earth implementation, you know, what they call takeaways. Let's talk about why we don't get things done. The first one is we don't put any kind of time-based goals on it. My feeling is everything should have a short time-based goal. And it might be, I need to do this by the end of the day today. I need to implement this by next week, next month. And then we need to have long-term goals. Most of you look down all day long. And what I want you to do is implement things that allow you to look up and look 5, 10, 15 years down the road. I've had 3 phone calls in the last 20 days from owners wanting to sell their shops. And most of the time it starts out with, you need 5 years of getting things in order to even have a business to sell. So we need to start thinking about what we're going to do down the road. Doesn't mean you have to sell, but you need to start that. My big mantra is you always be recruiting, because you're always going to have a weak link in your business. That's a long-term goal. Have the correct staff all the time. But everything you do should have a short time-based goal. Because let's be honest, if Joseph didn't send the paper out today and said, we're going to start this meeting at this time, how many of you would be here? You would have forgotten about it. There's no sense of urgency. You wouldn't be here. So everything has to have a short time-based goal. And here's the big one. Nobody holds you accountable. Those of you that work in a husband and wife scenario, spouses, you don't let your spouse hold you accountable. You don't have somebody going, why didn't you do this? Why didn't we implement this? Why didn't we make this change? And I'm going to tell you a little story here. And nobody needs to acknowledge if they know who I'm talking about here. But 2 years ago, at the beginning of the year, I asked him to raise his hourly rate $5 an hour. And he didn't for the entire year. But I ask him every week when I talk to him. Every week, did you raise your rate? Did you raise your rate? Did you raise your rate? So towards the end of the year, I figured out how many hours they had billed that year, times the amount of money I asked them to raise their rate. And it turned out to be $30,000. And basically, because he didn't implement a very simple thing, which you need to adjust your hourly rate every year, he lost $30,000. The shop lost $30,000. So as this was the end of the year, we started talking about the next year, and I said, you need to raise your hourly rate. And this time, he raised it the year before and the new year. So he actually went up more than I originally asked him, because he saw that with no accountability, with no feedback, he would have just let $30,000 go by the wayside. And I'll be honest with you, is there anybody on this phone call tonight that doesn't need $30,000 for their business? So accountability is somebody to ask you every single day sometimes to do what you need to do. And accountability is lacking. And that's where the ego comes in, because a lot of us, men especially, say, hey, no problem, I'll do that. And when somebody asks, we get angry about it. Spouses, ladies especially, you know what I'm talking about, don't you? So we need to have an accountability person, a partner. And that's one of the things that will make the biggest difference in implementation. Short time-based goals, but accountability. And of course, you don't see the consequences. If I don't do anything, what's the consequences? Well, in my example, it was $30,000. If I have the wrong employee and the comeback rate's too high, what's the consequences? Our reputation gets damaged. It costs us money. I have a client in the East Coast. They just had a 21-hour comeback. It was a $4,000 mistake. And the consequences of not implementing checks and balances, process and procedures, of doing things properly, cost them. And what I did was I extrapolated that out, that if they lose $4,000 a month for 12 months, how much money is that? And it's a ton of money. So you have to see the big picture. And that's something that I like to tell my clients. As I'm looking at your business from 30,000 feet, you're looking at it from 10 feet or 30 feet. You need to step back and see the big picture and see the consequences if you don't implement change. Again, this is where technically you guys implement that, because you see the cars and you know how difficult they are. Business has gotten more difficult. COVID made it more difficult. The rent increase will make it more difficult. You need to see the consequences if you don't act and implement it. And a lot of times we don't know what done looks like. We don't know what the finished product is. So, you know, even if you set a goal with a time-based goal and you say, we're going to do, I hear this all the time, I want to do $1 million in sales. Well, that's, to me, is not a goal, because $1 million in gross sales is nothing. Now, if you say I want a 25% net income, now you're talking. So sometimes we're actually trying to implement for the wrong reasons. So we don't really have an idea what done looks like. And just so you know, being in the automotive repair business, actually any small business today, is a lot like herding cats that are on crack. It's very difficult. So it's never ever fixed and it's never ever done. Here's a big deal. We don't know how to start or when we should start. And like most things, it should be now. I mean, immediately. And it should be all the time. You should be looking every day. You should be asking yourself, why are we doing this? Whatever it is. And is there a better, faster, smoother, or different way of doing it that gives us a different result? What can I implement to help us do this? I want you to think $6 million man. I want you faster, smoother, stronger, cleaner, everything. So how do we start this? When do we start it? Immediately. Stop procrastination. That is a big killer in our industry. Don't wait till tomorrow, do it today. Just like that hourly rate story, because we waited 8 or 9 months, it cost us $30,000. So how do we fix this? And I know Tim's rolling his eyes right now because I've said this to him recently. You got to keep the main thing, the main thing. And the question is everybody on this call tonight has a different main thing. And again, it's not being vague. It's not saying I want to do $1 million or $10 million or $100,000. It's how do you get there? The main thing is how do you get to that goal? And that's an every day, every minute of every day focal point. And I like to refer to you shop owners as pinballs. You're like a pinball machine. You're bouncing around, putting out a fire here, going here, doing this, and you're neglecting some of the things in your business you need to focus on. So I want you to think about what is the main thing. And you know, as Tim mentioned, everybody that's an ASC member gets a half an hour of free management consultation a month as part of your membership. That's a benefit of being a member. So if you're not sure what the main thing is, text me. I'll give you my cell phone at the end of this. Text me and I'll schedule time to talk with you. That's
And Maylan, let me jump in. There's a question that came up that I think might be good right now, and that's, is it better to do something wrong than nothing at all?
Excellent question. Whoever asked that question, pat yourselves on the back. So that's kind of like a decision. To me, the only wrong decision is one that's not made. So if you do something and it doesn't work the way you want to, you paid tuition, time and money possibly, but you should learn from it and change, implement something different. So I think you should try as many things as you can with the understanding you're kind of going to college. It's called the School of Hard Knocks, but try things. And I might tell you to do something and it won't work for you because I don't have all the answers and your business is very unique. That's why you need to spend some time thinking about what your business needs. Step out of your 3-foot, 30-foot view and get to 10,000 foot and look at your business and go, what do I need to do? So I think trying something and not having it be successful is a good thing because that's how we learn. And one of the things that you have to get away from is trying to make it perfect. Doesn't exist. So one of the things I want you to do is, I don't want you to do it right this second, but maybe after this meeting is over or tomorrow when you have some quiet time, I want you to start thinking about what is my main thing? What should I be focused on? Whether it be goals in your company, goals in your professional life, or goals in your personal life. I had a conversation yesterday with a shop owner in Northern California, and I told him that one of his main things was to take a vacation next year. And I'm so adamant about it, I want him to write the date that he's going to go on vacation. And now we're going to spend from today to then focusing on the main thing so he can take a vacation because he hasn't taken one in 15 years. So decide what your main thing is. And it might change. Once you start thinking about this and you plan and you set some short time-based goals and you start exploring the information that's available so you can implement, it might change. That's okay. It's not etched in stone. It's a very fluid environment we're in. So think about when I can do this, short time-based goals. Think about the consequences, and I want you to be focused. Stop being a pinball. Stop being distracted. Stop trying to help everybody else until after you helped yourself. And when you can go out and help other people is when you can walk away from your business for 2 weeks. Not answer the phone, not have anything to do with your business, but be gone for 2 weeks. And it produces the same amount of money as it did when you were there. That is a great main thing. And that's where your focus should be. So what's your focus on? Be focused on your business first, because that provides everything for not just you and your family, but it provides for your employees and their families. So be very focused and make sure your employees are focused on the right things also. And then go out and find an accountability partner. Now, this should not be somebody who's going to say, it's okay, try harder next time. I want them to be brutally honest with you and tell you, you're doing the wrong thing. You're not paying attention. You're not focused. And again, it's very difficult for your spouse to do that because typically we don't respect our spouse's opinion in that. And I'll tell you the conversation I had with a husband and wife team, and the wife, like in many situations, she's paying the bills and handling the money and doing all of that. And she comes to me and says, Maylan, I can't pay all the bills. This is, you know, we're short on cash flow's down. So we had a meeting between the three of us. And the husband tells me, I don't understand why you don't have money. I'm working my tail off. I'm here all hours. I'm busting my hump. We're doing all of this. You must be wasting the money. And I said, let's look at the tools you've purchased without planning for them. Let's look at all the things we spent money on that we didn't plan for, that were not part of the main thing. We didn't save money for the pandemic. We didn't save money for when business slows down a little bit. See, these are where an accountability partner is going to hold you accountable to what you need to do to make your main thing happen. And the big key is you got to keep the main thing that is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, until you can leave your business and not have it change. And a lot of my clients, the first thing I have them do is write a job description, and the owner says, do everything. No, you got to do the owner things. I ask an owner that, and one of the things that was on his job description was to make sure the employees are on time and they punch in. Wrong. That's not your job. We have the wrong employees if you have to be doing that. So it's a matter of finding your focal point and making yourself accountable to get to that. I think business is like a race car. And if you've ever raced anything, you're never done fiddling with it. You're always adjusting and changing and trying things. When I drag raced, I spent $6,000 on engine parts to go 1/10 of a second faster. And when we went 1/10 of a second faster, you know what I said? Gosh, we got to go a little faster. Because in drag racing, the main thing is being fast. So for me to afford the $6,000 in cylinder heads and intake manifold was I had to focus on making my business work, not racing. That's how we get distracted. So I want you to always keep the main thing the main thing. And if you don't know what your main thing is, if you're new at this business, if you've been in business for 40 years, your main thing isn't right because you're not paying attention to it the same way you should. And so we have all this knowledge. And here's the thing, out of everybody on this phone call tonight, 1% will actually do what I ask you to do, which is write down what the main thing is. And then start focusing on short time-based goals and how do we get there and how do we make this function? And set your ego aside and go, I'm going to try this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to call Maylan and ask him what he thinks I should do. Because we need to do things differently. business has changed in the last 60 days. And many of you are still doing business the same way we did 30 years ago. And think about this. In the last 100+ years, have cars changed? Of course they have. Have customers changed? Yes, they're scared right now, just like you are. They've lost their jobs. They're on furloughs, but yet they still need their car. They're not taking rapid transit. We need you to be in business. We need you to be profitable so you can continue to pay your employees so they're part of the economy. So it's important for us to get back to what's our main thing. And I hate to break this to you, automotive repair people. It is not fixing the car. It is about running your business. It's about making your business profitable so you can help the economy recover. We should be so thankful that we are a business that's considered essential. Imagine if you're in the restaurant business right now. How devastated they are. But we've been distracted. We're so worried about COVID and customers and gaining personnel and finding things that we get distracted. I've hired more people in the last 60 days for clients than I ever have because there's lots of people looking for jobs. And sometimes it's because the business owner isn't worried about the main thing, which is the business. They're scared. They're worried about their jobs. So implementation is everything. We talk about it. We spend all this time and money learning things, but if you don't go back and do it, it's not going to make a difference. And at that point, you should stop seeking knowledge and just continue to do things the way you are until you become extinct, like the dinosaurs did. So, Joseph, do we have any questions that I can answer?
I haven't seen any questions. Unfortunately, Joseph said he had to step away for just a minute. So I haven't seen any pop up. I've been watching.
Okay. So here's the thing. Let me give you all some information. Thank you, Johanna. This is my cell phone. And a lot of you have it, but I'm going to tell you the best way to get my attention is to text me. I'm spending 12 to 14 hours a day on the phone. And if you call and leave a voicemail, if you send me an email, because I keep the main thing is I may miss it. And I get a couple hundred emails a day like many of you do. So the best way to get a hold of me is text me. Tell me in the text who you are and that you were on this class, this meeting, and I'll text you back and we'll arrange time to talk. So my cell phone number is 805-377-9566. 805-377-9566. If you want to email me, I'll do my best. It's very simple. It's Maylan, M-A-Y-L-A-N, at esiseminars.com. And I can help you with anything in your business, whether it be employee issues all the way up to helping you set your hourly rate. So let me know how I can help you. And by the way, it's already September. It's 3 months before the beginning of a new year. Everybody in this business needs to raise their hourly rate the 1st of January, at least the cost of living. At least that. But if you're not sure how your hourly rate should be set, or if you wild ass guessed it and you called around and asked everybody what you should charge per hour, and you would like, we offer a free business analysis. Text me, tell me you want that. We'll arrange time for me to get you the information sheet, and I'll give it. I may not do it, one of our coaches may do it, but we'll actually determine what your hourly rate should be, give you a call, and give you up to an hour phone consultation about your hourly rate if you're interested in it. But one of the things I want to close with, and I appreciate your time, and I don't want to keep you longer because I know you've already worked a long time. Our web whisperer, Birdie, as a courtesy for you to take the time tonight to listen to me, she's willing to help you set up your Google My Business on Google for absolutely nothing. This is because of the value we put on ASCCA. If you don't have a Google My Business or you're not sure if it's set up properly, you should definitely get a hold of her. because this is big. A lot of clients are getting great responses from this. She also does some social media, answers reviews for you, the things that you don't have time to do. So call and talk to Melissa. She's a wonderful person. She does an excellent job. Just tell her you were here and that you're taking advantage of the Google My Business offer that we're having.
Maylan?
Yes.
Just to tell everybody, if you know how to use the Zoom page, go down to the chat section. I put Maylan's phone number to everyone in the chat so that you can contact him. And
Great.
those of you that have worked with Birdie, she's awesome.
So if there's anything we can do to help you, I'm here for you. One of the things I think Tim brought it up was I care about the industry first. So I'm willing to help anybody for any reason. And no matter how good your business is, I've seen better. And no matter how bad it is, I've seen worse. So don't be embarrassed. Set your ego aside and let's talk about how we can help you grow your business to where it needs to be. A half hour a month, absolutely complimentary because you're an ASCCA member. And let me tell you, participate in ASCCA, go to the meetings. As Tim said, join us on the team weekend, even though it's virtual. You're going to get a lot more out of this association if you participate. Join us on some of the committee calls. Go onto the website, ASCCA.com, and explore things. Register for team weekend. It's truly amazing how much we're involved in. Not only the legislative side, I'm also a trustee on the Educational Foundation. As Gene said, we're giving away thousands of dollars. And by the way, we don't touch the principal. That's the interest we earn off the investments. So it's perpetual. We've been doing this for probably 20 years. And I'm very proud to be associated with the association and with the Educational Foundation. So there's a lot of benefits for being involved. Shannon's a great benefit, uniform programs, the educational part of it. It's a great association. Share this with everybody. Your dues are very inexpensive compared to what you get out of it. And the legislation that we've been able to change and stop, you guys don't have any idea how many bad things we've prevented from happening legislatively. So first of all, I want to say thank you very much. And as Mitch said, he wanted to say thank you very much for understanding. And I'm thankful I was able to come on tonight and take his spot, although I could never be Mitch. I appreciate all that he's done for the industry. I appreciate all of you and the opportunities you've given me to help your chapter. Please don't hesitate to reach out and let me know how I can help you. Thank you, Tim. Thank you very much for thinking of me. You guys have a wonderful evening. Be safe and fix your business. Stop fixing cars. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you so much, Maylan.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much, Maylan. We appreciate it like always. Next thing, Joseph, would you like to pull out the little wheel?
Wheel of Fortune.
You're on mute.
As you know, we're going to draw 4 numbers, and the prize for our shop drawing, our member drawing, is you get a choice of either $50, I say cash, but I'll send you a check, or $100 dues credit. So all it requires is that you're a member in good standing, which means your dues are current, and you've been here for the whole meeting. So I am turning the squirrel cage, and I've got 4 numbers here. First number is 72, which means nothing to you because you don't have the list in front of you. It's Tireman's Automotive. They are not here tonight. All right. Next one is 35, which is Hawley Insurance Services. What a shame. He had said he was going to be here.
Oh, shame on Bruce.
Yeah. Any of you, when you see him, make sure you tell him.
Text
Oh,
him.
that's really important, isn't it, Jim, huh?
We also have Tony's Auto Repair, again, not here. We're kind of doing a replay of our first time we did this. First time we didn't have anyone there. Last month we had 2 out of 4 winners. So here we are with our last number. Let's see what we've got here. Nope, Associated Auto and Auto Air and Radiator. Well, we struck out tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
I think we should do it again.
I think that would require a board decision. So any board members want to speak up? Probably not.
I think you should just send it to me.
We're all going to pitch in for Mitch or Maylan's beard cut.
You know what? If you send it to Maylan, he just donated to the Educational Foundation.
That's what I thought.
That's the kind of guy he is. Well, this is the official end of the meeting. It's earlier than we had anticipated, which is a good thing for those who have been working all day. Maylan, we certainly appreciate your time and the input, and you pack a lot into a short time.
And if anybody wants to talk, I'll hang on for a little while, but I just wanted to make sure I honored your time frames.
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to say that, you know, we can stay online for a little while. You can, like I say, it's the official end. If you want to, you know, clock out, you can. But if you want to stay on and ask some questions, Maylan said he'd hang around.
Absolutely.
So you'll have to unmute yourself before you speak, but go ahead.
Everybody have a wonderful night.
Good night, Randy.
Good night, Randy.
Good night, Randy.
I was just going to comment and say we saw a lot of new faces on the meeting, and that was really encouraging to see. And those of you that have joined us from other chapters, welcome. And please take this information back to your chapter, to your board, and then tell them about the other chapter meetings, because at this point, it is so easy to go to another chapter's meeting. And for those of you that have Rocky, Esteban, I've seen you guys, John. I mean, it's so encouraging because you get a ridiculous amount of information. Even if you can retain that much of it, I've got my yellow books like halfway filled with information. And now it's a matter of taking that, and like he said, and implementing it in that first step, which is always the hardest. So thanks, John and Rocky and all of you guys that, you know, contribute to the effort that we all put into this. So it's nice to see new faces there. And John from Advanced, thanks for joining us.
And I see that Matt Heinstedt from Karsten Imports joined us after we did our introduction. So Matt's glad that you're here.
Hey, Joseph, can I say one thing?
Certainly you can, Mr. President.
So having been in a bottom line impact group for 13 years, very interesting thing happened. Year one, I go to my first meeting. I wrote down 100 things I needed to do. Year two, similar list. They're almost still there, almost all of them. And as I go along, it came to mind that when you write a list of 100 things to do, you may never start it because it's 100 things to do. So what I've learned in the past few years is I write myself 2 or 3 lists, the kind of like what Maylan says, the stuff you just have to do. 3, 4, maybe 5 things. That's it. Page number 1. This is what I have to do. I don't look at page number 2 until page number 1 is done. So, you know, pick those things that are important, but don't pick too many because they tend to get daunting and you can't get past, you know, getting started is the toughest part. So I found that to be a big help on actually getting things accomplished.
John,
Thank you, John.
That's a great point, John. Most of us have too many things on our to-do list. I actually don't think you should have more than one main thing and a secondary thing. 2 things max. Otherwise you get overwhelmed very quickly and you give up.
Yes, Gene. Are you leaving?
Norman has his hands up.
Yes, Norm.
Maylan, your comments were very valid, and not only do they apply to your industry, but they could apply to any industry.
Yep.
Well, and it also applies to your life, your personal life.
Yeah.
You know, like taking a vacation or putting some money in the bank or paying something off. So, you know, I try not to just talk about our business, but I talk about life in general. So, and one more thing I want to add real quick is if there's anybody from another chapter out there that would like this presentation, just reach out to me, send me a text message, and I'll be more than happy to come and speak to your association virtually. And when we are able to get back out in person, because I really would rather do this in person, I'm available. And I don't charge the chapters anything to do this.
And I will, we recorded this meeting, so I will edit it a little bit and then post it on our website under the events page.
Hey, hey, one more thing too. I believe Norm put an offer on the table a while back to review the financials of shops. So Norm, you may want to remind everybody about that offer.
You know, this is the strangest thing. You know, even though we might offer a no-charge review of tax returns or financial statements, very, very few people take me up on it for whatever reason. Just maybe once every 3 years, someone will contact me.
Yeah.
I think if we charged for it, maybe we'd get more candidates.
Yeah, well, it's a very nice offer. You know, sometimes it's good to get that second opinion. You know, our customers, you know, sometimes they'll want a second opinion. So, you know, for those of us that maybe aren't as in tune with our financials, it's always good to get an opinion from a couple different places. And you know, that's very, very nice offer of you, Norm, to offer that to everybody. So
yeah, my office is still open.
Yeah, so don't be afraid to take him up on his offer. Make him regret offering it because he's got way too many of them to do.
Well, I think this goes back to tying in what we've all kind of pulling together is that's the separation that Roberto was talking about between being business owner and mechanic. Because when you think mechanic, you're fixing the car. When you start looking at things from a numbers decisions and you look at the numbers and go, wow, that was the result of my action, or wow, that was the benefit of my action. Now we start separating the mechanic because those are decisions that you would not have made had you had that information. And like Maylan was saying, if you don't have that accountability partner, her, Maylan, you know, Joseph, Gene, all of the members of our association that really help each other and push each other, how are you going to know what you're capable of? You don't until they put you to the test. And honestly, the best occurrences are when you fail, because then you learn how to pick up. The banks won't even give you a loan if you haven't failed to succeed.
Yeah.
Can I make a comment about how important monthly financials are? One of my clients sold a business a couple of years ago, and he's carrying back a note of $1 million. And the buyer is complaining that he hasn't got enough money to pay the note since COVID started. So I said to my client, ask him for the most recent monthly financials. If the bottom line is really as bad as he says it is, you can hold off. But if he hasn't got monthly financials, go to your attorney and start foreclosing.
Yeah. Roberto, I saw you had your hand up. You need to unmute yourself and you can ask something.
Yeah, you know, being a mechanic, and I had run the shop for a while, and Mark knows about this. When Russ, my previous owner, used to go out, I used to see things in a different perspective, and I used to see how he was making the money. But in reality, when you're in that seat everything changes because of the decisions that you make. When I talked to Mark, and Mark has been there, and Colleen, they opened their arms to let me in and open my eyes to the bad decisions I have made throughout time. You know, I thought it was easy. Oh yeah, I can do it. Yeah, I worked with this guy, and I was there at the shop, and I run the shop, and I did this and I that. But when you look at the books and you look at the things that you're missing out on, you know, it's a total eye-opening into the bad decisions I made. Like Maylan was saying, right now, until now that I joined and I've been to these 2 meetings and a couple books that Mark has let me read, I was a pinball. That's what I was. I was running from the office to help the guys, to talk to a customer, to answer the phone. And now, you know, I thank Colleen for the fact that she has let me bring a person that I'm training to be the writer of the shop. And the first thing she told me that she told Colleen is, I don't know anything about cars. And she doesn't, but I know the capability that she has. And now I can feel that I'm making the right decisions by just being a part of the association. I can see the benefits already with just 2 times that I have been with you guys.
Roberto, thank you for sharing that experience, and it's fantastic because proof's in the pudding right there. Thank you very much.
Hey, you know, another comment to that part of, you know, working, working on the business instead of in the business. It's amazing how often when you're there, you're in your office, your door's open, your people come, they ask you for help, they ask you for questions. What do they do when you're not there? You know, work on being there and let your people make their decisions. It's one of the big things that we talk about at my shop. It's make a decision.
Stop ringing.
You know, make a decision, good or bad, make a decision. And then if it's not a good decision, we have a long conversation about what maybe we could have done differently. And now the problem's handled, right or wrong, it's handled. And if it wasn't handled the best way, you've had a conversation with that employee so the next time they can make that decision. But, you know, just remember, like, if I go away and I'm gone for a week, nobody asks me what to do, what's going on. If I'm sitting in my office with my door open, guess what? They ask me, what should I do? You know, so the other thing you can do is if you're working in your office, shut your door. You know, put a do not disturb sign out there, you know, for 2 hours. You know, try it for an hour, then make it 2, then make it 3. And you'll find that your people can make those decisions. They're just falling back on you, using you as a crutch. You know, instead of making those decisions, when a lot of times if you've trained them and worked with them, they already know the answer. They know what they need to do. You know, we tell our advisors at the end of the day, take care of the customer. You know, don't give everything away, but take care of the customer. And 9 times out of 10, they get it right.
You know, John, I'd like to add to that a wise man told me 2 factors in making good decisions. And once I understood what that meant, it became so much easier to pass that to the staff. And that was knowledge of the situation,
Yep.
How much you know about the circumstance, and how much you know in the industry or in the field, experience. Because if you can have knowledge of this situation and make a totally different decision you would than if you had experience. And an old coach once told me, there's no replacement for displacement and horsepower. There's no replacement for experience. So You can have great experience, like Roberto was saying, and make bad decisions because of knowledge of the situation. But those are really what has helped me pass on to my guys. Hey, how much knowledge did you have? A lot. How much experience did you have? Not as much as you. What would you have done different? And that's honestly, in the last 3 weeks, that has really changed how I look at what do I expect from the guys. And like you said, John, what would you do if I wasn't here? It becomes a very powerful question.
Yep.
A lot of times they'll do what you were going to do anyways, but they said it, they own it. And when you told me this like 2 years ago, I was like, make them own it.
Yep.
It takes a while, but own it works.
Yep.
So
I just
and also said
make a
that
comment.
knowledge.
Working on the business, my wealthiest client has taxable income of $6 million a year, and he works 12 hours a week.
Yep. That's awesome.
So as
apply to any business.
absolutely, as Roberto was saying, you know, it's different when you're in the decision-making side of it. And we have a class called Business 101 for employees. And we try to teach them how much money it takes to run a shop and where the money goes. Because, for example, if you're charging $100 an hour and they're making $20 an hour, they think you're, as owners, are pocketing $80. So it's important to educate your staff also. And, you know, that's a great class. I know Tim's been to it a couple times and his staff. But we also have written a class called Building Decision Makers, as John was saying. So, you know, we have some training that we can bring to the chapter or to the association that would help in all of these areas. But you got to remember, most of us who are managers and owners of automotive repair shops, we started out as technicians and we don't like the numbers. That's why they don't take you up on your offer, Norm, because you're going to scare the crap out of them. You're going to actually tell them the truth. And it's a lot easier if I think this than if I know this. And the reason I know that is we have a comeback report. And I have owners track 2 different numbers. And when they do it, I've had more than one of them call me up and goes, wow, that's a huge number. I don't want to do this anymore. It's scary. Well, if you don't know what it is, how do you fix it? And that's why, Norm, a lot of people don't take you up on that because they're afraid of what you're going to tell them and they're going to have to be accountable for it. But I appreciate you doing that to help the industry out because it definitely needs to be done.
But you know, start somewhere.
You got to.
Yeah.
Maylan?
Yes.
So just like Tim was saying, knowledge is a lot, but then the biggest portion of the end part of that all this is being able to lower your ego and implement it, because that portion of it is very. I think that portion of it is probably the most difficult. And again, Norman, you know, it's a great offer, but you know, are people prepared to lower their ego to listen to the crap that they have accumulated for years, and then you're going to tell them off, right? So it's that's right there the difference between it. And when Roberto is talking, you can literally hear his ego dropping and dropping and dropping lower and lower and lower, because he realizes that in order for him to excel, his ego has to drop. He's got to come even with reality of his life. So in order to be able to grasp all that information. So implementing is another thing. Go ahead. Thank you.
What sometimes helps if you get 3 or 4 people in a group and you go over the numbers together and you perhaps call it a focus group, and they're going to commit to what they're going to do in the next 30, 60, 90 days. They're accountable to each other. So that might be a way to work around, you know, inactivity and getting a firecracker under someone's rear end.
I think that's a fantastic idea. We've kind of been tossing ideas like that around in our chapter, and even in different chapters. Esteban will tell you, you know, in phone conversations about, oh man, my week sucked. Let me tell you about yours, or let me tell you about mine. You know, we've kind of discussed, how do we do that? How do we get, you know, the shops that want to excel, that want to lower their ego, like Rocky was saying, you know, humility, honesty, and just looking at it from the right way. How do we do that where we can all push each other? And I wish Gene was here on this, because he always brings a lot of great ideas. So I know we're kind of going into the 8:30 round. Those of you that have to leave, I think this is so juicy. I'm like, it's watching a soap opera. You know, I want to learn and grasp. So please chime in, Esteban. You've been quiet all night, brother.
Right, if I jump in for a second?
Yeah, John, absolutely. By the way, thanks for coming.
Sorry I was late. I once again, dinner called. Hey, Rocky, wanted to jump in on your conversation there with you and Roberto there. One of the things I wanted to say was, as we, quote, lower our ego by allowing others to make their decisions, which ultimately we need to do, absolutely. But there has to be a balance where we don't sacrifice our business too, because the business will fall down to the lowest denominator. It's just a fact. So we have to have that balance of, yes, allowing them to come up, at the same time, not allowing our business to just fall. And I'd like to get your input on that there, Rocky.
That portion of the conversation, as to, like John says, if you allow them to make a mistake, right? So you're lowering your ego, you're allowing them to make a mistake in order for them to realize the mistake. So obviously there has to be certain limits, and you really have to know who you're dealing with and what kind of personality they have, and if they actually know what you're doing and realize the situation. But in order for your employee to realize the reality, they will have to fall into it. Just like my sons, you know, I got to put them in a situation where they actually, when they're growing, figure out exactly how to deal with that situation. I can tell them all day long. I can give them all the knowledge in the world. But when it really comes down to it, what are they going to do? Right? So it's where the rubber meets the road situation is where we have to create, in my opinion. Just like what John was saying. I think that.
Yeah, one of the problems that I find is a lot of the guys that I have, and I've got 3 full-time service writers, they don't mind making a decision, but they don't want to stand up for the, you know, as we say, pay the price for the choices that they make. They want me to pay the price for the choices that they make. And constantly I'm saying, well, hey, you know, I wouldn't have necessarily made that particular choice, you know, but years go by and I still see the same trend. And what my desire is to get them to make the similar choices that I would make on a regular basis. Now, I understand once in a while they're going to do something different, but on a regular basis and make those choices. And I think we would smoothen out some of our bumps that we go over.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Do you have written expectations for your service advisors?
Oh, I know you'd get to that.
Goes back to that accountability. Let's use the word partner. So here's a big common problem we have. And John actually brought it up, is he has clear expectations what his service writers are supposed to do. For example, a very basic expectation of a service writer is happy customers, happy employees, and profit. Wouldn't you agree that's a very basic set of expectations?
Yep.
So what does that look like in your shop? I call it philosophy of auto repair. So John has his philosophy of auto repair, how he wants his customers taken care of, how he wants them treated, all of that. And Rocky has his, and Tim has his. But here's the thing, if I come to work for you and you don't tell me what your philosophy of auto repair is, which one do I use? It's the last place I worked at, and that could have been a bottom feeder. So first thing you have to do is set expectations. Second thing is you got to stop trying to be in control of everything. You got to let them make mistakes. And one of the things, and the lesson that I learned the first time I ever ran a shop by myself, and this goes back, probably Tyrannosaurus Rex days, was this guy was going on vacation. He was going to Hawaii, and he was going to sail around the islands in Hawaii. And I'm fairly new. I was a technician who volunteered to be a service writer because I opened my big mouth. And so when he was getting ready to leave, I said, well, how do I get a hold of you? If I need something I teach to this day, he looked me in the eye and says, Maylan, don't ruin my vacation. Handle it. If somebody gets hurt, call 911. Take them to the hospital. If the place catches on fire, call 911. Call the insurance company. If a customer comes in and they need something, take care of them. Do the best you can. And he left and went on vacation. And he was gone for 10 days. And of course, I'm kind of dreading when he gets back because I made decisions while he was gone. And he gets back and he walks in the door and I said, man, nice tan. He goes, it was wonderful, thanks. He goes in his office. All day I'm waiting for the other shoe to fall and for me to get yelled at because of the decisions I made. Every day for a week he came to work and never talked to me about it. And then he goes, hey, Monday night, let's go have a cup of coffee together. And I'm thinking, oh boy, here it goes. I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get my rear end handed to me. And so we go across the street to the Denny's and we sit down and he has 3 repair orders in his hands and he turns it around and he slides it over in front of me and says, tell me why you made that decision. Explain to me why you did that. And so I explained to him my thought process and he looked at me and says, okay, that makes sense. Next time think about this and I might have done this. And so what he was doing was sharing what Tim talked about. He was sharing his experience. He didn't say I did a bad job. He didn't say I did a good job. He said, I would have done it this way. And we went through these 3 repair orders and we talked a little bit about them. When we got all done, he slid a check across to me and said, thank you. I appreciate your extra effort while I was gone. Now, what he did was he gave me confidence. He let me make decisions. They weren't all right. But the next time he went on vacation, what do you think I said to him? See ya. And when he came back, we did the same thing. Did you think about this? Did you think about that? I would have done this. So I don't have as much experience as he did at this front counter. So he shared that with me. I had the knowledge of the situation, which he required. So we talked about it. And what happens is he didn't need to be in total control. There was no ego involved. And I got to be honest with you, that 3-letter word, 1-syllable word has cost all of you literally tens of thousands of dollars. Because the problem, Norm, with getting a group of shop owners together is now they're trying to outdo each other. And we talk gross sales and we talk numbers and there's no substantiation behind the numbers. So we need to put our egos aside and just say, hey, I'm a business owner, you're a business owner. Norm and I, we've sat across from each other at a table and talked. And it's not about I know more than Norm does or Norm knows more than I do. We have our expertise. We have our experience. It's about let's help the client be better. And that's what we need to do with our employees. It's not about controlling them or telling them what to do. It's about setting expectations and letting them do it and then helping them become better at what they do. Sorry, that was long-winded. I apologize.
No, that's great.
Call me.
Hey, on that subject, my philosophy is you hire somebody, you give them some guidelines, and then you let them do their job. Okay, I'm going to refer back to a member in my coaching group that I was in that had a great shop, he fired people. He fired an advisor every month or two. This went on for 2 years. For 2 years, we asked him to look in the mirror. We asked him to, hey, are you letting your people do their job? Well, he's not doing it right. Okay, well, you didn't answer the question. Are you letting him do his job? You know, you give him the tools. And after year 2, he finally got it. And guess what? He quit firing people. And guess what? Those people that he knew were doing a terrible job and couldn't hang and all that, suddenly they could, because he started looking at them in a different way, you know, and he started helping them succeed. You know, that's the question that I always ask when I look at an employee. Do I have to fire somebody? You know, have I done everything in my power to help this person succeed at what they're doing? And if there's just a remote, I'm not sure, maybe not, then, you know, we try a little harder. We try to give people the tools to do the job right. But you got to let people do the job. It's like your kids, you know, you teach them, you train them, they screw up. You know, are they going to learn more from you telling them, don't do it this way because this is what's going to happen? Or are they going to learn more from actually doing it, falling down, getting hurt, and figuring out, well, that wasn't so smart, was it? You know, you got to let your people do that. And it's going to cost you money. You might lose them, you know, you might lose a customer every so often. But long term, your employee or shop are going to be better for it because you let them try and fail, you know. And then, yes, I love the thought of, you know, having that conversation, you know, and this is what we do. It's like, hey, you know, tell me what happened here. Great. This is what, you know, if I was handling, this is probably what I would have done. You know, do you understand that? And that's how they learn and they grow immensely when you do that. So
I like the way somebody once put it, and they said, teach them the culture of the shop. Because once you teach them the culture of the shop, they'll learn to make the decisions. And honestly, within the last week and a half, I've looked at things a little bit different with the young service advisor. Those that may not know, my service advisor is 21 years old. And he makes decisions better than like 35 and 40-year-olds do. And he breaks it down to what makes sense. Because like Maylan was saying, he was a tech, but he realized that he can help people in a different way by using his knowledge in a different manner. And when people tell him, and this week I've kind of like eardropped on a few conversations and went, oh man, how's this going to end? I want to chime in and say, send it my way, send it my way. Let me fix this. And he's made 2 great decisions. One of them was to tell the customer, I totally understand. It doesn't sound like we're going to be the right shop for you. And the other one, he took a heated situation where I was like, let me in, tag me in. And he actually made the appointment. The customer showed up and didn't even know I was involved because Jake took an escalated situation and made it understandable because of the common sense. 21 years old, 0 ego. He learns from his mistakes because we talk about it at the end of the week. John, you were telling me, make a list of what you would do different and just tell them, ask them that question. What would you have done different? And honestly, I talk a lot. So if I just shut up and listen, a lot of the times they know where they made up. And if they're driven to fix your business, like Colleen was to take over Mark's, they already know what to do next time. Let them do it. And you'll realize that I feel good about it because at the end of the month or at the end of the week, I'm going to notice that in the numbers.
Which is what I've actually been trying to chime in the whole time while you guys have all been talking. I'm actually surprised. I'm surprised that Mark hasn't said anything because this entire conversation is literally our relationship. This is how it started. I came into a business with a guy that had a big ego. I love you to death, Mark, but it's true. So, and like had a big ego, and it took me a really long time to get him to understand I have to make the freaking mistake to learn from it. I have to. You can sit there and you can beat it in my head as much as you want to. You can like send me home because you're mad at me because I just don't get it. I still have to make the mistake. Do I go in every day thinking, yeah, I'm going to lose you $2,000 today? No, I guarantee you I didn't make that ever big of a mistake. Maybe $100 here or there, but still, it's not intentional, but you do have to let your employees at least make the mistake. Yeah, find the boundary. Mark told me when I first started, look, we do A, B, C, and D. If you can't figure it out, see you later. Okay, so obviously I have to do A, B, C, and D. And it also helps that Mark has a lot of the same views I do. We always put the customer first in our business. It's not hard for me as an employee to stand by somebody who has the same core values as I do. And I think that's really important as an owner to find people that do understand the same core values as you. I mean, as long as you're putting the customer first, nothing else matters. And even still, like him and I butt heads a couple times because he thinks I should have done it a different way. At the end of the day, did my customer leave happy? Heck yeah, they did. Did they come back? Heck yeah, they did. So, you know, you do have to hold your employees accountable to a certain extent, but you also have to let them learn from their mistakes. It's huge.
And let me.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, Will.
I want to throw something in there because I've known Colleen a very long time. And actually, I'm going to claim credit for her being a dragon slayer, a top service advisor, because she was working in a hotel when I met her and did an excellent job at that. And I coerced her.
I have mine on my desk.
Awesome. So when she got trained and I put her in a shop, you know, placed her in a shop, that person couldn't accept any mistakes. He wanted it perfect. And Colleen didn't grow as a person. It was frustrating for her. It was frustrating for everybody because my philosophy is you're going to make mistakes. That's just the tuition we play. And when she got out of that shop into a place that would allow her to make mistakes, she became the superstar she is today because she was allowed to grow, even though he grumbled about it. And the last thing, I know, I'm trying to be polite to Mark tonight. So I want him to come take me to dinner. So, you know, I'm trying to be nice to him. So one of the things that I want to bring up is John brought up, you know, look in the mirror. I actually just wrote an article. It's on the Automotive Management Network. It's called The Enemy Within. And it deals with that. And if any of you would like that article, it was posted on Facebook from some group and the Automotive Management Network. But if you want it, I'll send it to you. Shoot me an email because I need your email address to respond to you. And I'll be more than happy to send you that article. And you need to read that and then you need to go stand in front of the mirror and realize you're the enemy. So, you know, a lot of great things have come up tonight. And I really want to stress the point that if you have questions, if you want to talk, I have the time for you. And I'm very serious about that. Never is a half an hour a month. I don't think I've ever had a conversation that was a half hour a month, but I will make the time to talk to all of you because I'm that serious about wanting the industry to get better. And it starts with you. So set expectations, let your employees make mistakes, pay a little tuition like John said, and you're going to end up with a business you don't have to be at every day. If you got to be the answer man for every question, you'll never leave that business. And it's going to affect your mental and your physical health.
So, Maylan,
Okay, hang on. Let me jump in here. We need to wrap it down. We need to wrap it up. And Mario Salas very kindly raised his hand. So I want to let him have the last word on this. This is the strength of this association, is learning from one another. And it could go on all night, but it's not going to.
Can I just say one thing though? I know Mauro, wait. I want you to talk about customers and satisfaction. I want you guys to go on our Facebook page, and we have a lady that wrote a 2.5-page article on Colleen about customers, about how she satisfied them. It's very good. In fact, I had a party here last Saturday, and I brought it out, and I had 4 people read it. I forgot to tell her about it, and they couldn't believe it. It was on customer hospitality. So please go on our Facebook and you know, look at it, and you'll see it. It's very good.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay. I'll shut up now.
All right, Mario, what do you have for us?
All right. So as an independent observer, you know, I've been to a few of your meetings, but a couple things, Maylan, I really want to give you some kudos because as a philosophy major, I can understand where you're coming from. A lot of you guys are getting some high quality education. Me, I had to pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to get what you are getting at a very reasonable rate, right? So use it. Use the information that you are getting. Culture. I know one of you guys mentioned culture. Culture is super important and establishing when you hire people, learning, teaching them your culture. Accountability. I was 25 years old when I opened up my shop. 25 years old, wet, dumb, thought I can fix anything, right? I made a ton of mistakes before I learned how to be an owner, how to be a manager, and how to really interact with not only my employees, but the customers. And when I started hiring people, I had this unreasonable expectation of, you should know everything I know. How can they if they haven't made the mistakes? And I really give credit to now being on this side of, you know, outside of ownership, now being with the government. I had a supervisor who the very first week when I got promoted, he took a vacation and he called it my trial by fire. He said, I'm turning off my phone. You need to figure out what needs to be done. And that was it. So I had to make sure that when I really, I utilized all my mistakes, utilized all my knowledge, and began to really incorporate that. So you do have to empower your employees. Now, I made several mistakes, and just like the coffee story, we sat at his desk and we ran through each individual issue on what was done wrong, what was done right. And it taught me tremendously. So it's one of those things that I really encourage you guys. We count on part of what you guys are doing because you are the leaders in the industry. And we really do count on many of you guys to set the tone in the industry, which you do. And that's why I think it's a very positive thing when we get involved together, is because we sort of do need you. If you guys run Wild West, so is everybody else. So it's very important for us. And I really want to encourage the new guys who are really chiming in. And I'm saying, hey, these guys know what they're talking about. It's not just a bunch of guys patting each other on the back. Independently, I'm sitting here saying, good job. You guys are doing a fantastic job. And, you know, just like Maylan said, if anybody else wants to reach out to me, you can feel free to reach out and say, hey, we're having an issue here, we're having an issue there, and I'm more than willing to help you out there any way I can.
Mario, got a quick question for you. Would you rather be on the compliance side or on the enforcement side?
You know, they both have their pluses and minuses. So I miss, you know, I was known as that guy who can fix the problems. And, you know, I really miss hearing that story. I've taken this to 5 dealerships and you fixed it, you know, because you get some appreciation. In what I'm doing, there's really no appreciation. And it wears down on you over the years. And that's why you get a lot of the older guys that are really grouchy and cantankerous, is because they really get tired of that just constant beating out from the consumers. Because remember, your worst consumers are our normal customers. So those are the ones that we have to deal with day in and day out. And it does take a psychological, you know, it does take some trying times, because some of them are just not rational, and we understand that. But that being said, I have a stable job. I have food on the table. I have a retirement. And, you know, at 55, if I decide I want to retire and open up a shop, I am fully able to do that and utilize my skills and knowledge. Otherwise, you know, potentially I'm working on a law degree. I can maybe potentially help lobby for individuals who don't feel like they have enough voice in the world, you know. So I would say that I like both sides and I understand both sides. But really, I still work on my own classic cars. So that'll never get out of my system, you know, and I still have my toolboxes, my 2 toolboxes, and my garage looks like a mini shop just in case I ever get a bearing that fails on my car or something, you know? So I got love for both. Don't prefer one over the other, but definitely got love for both and appreciate what you guys are doing.
Well, we appreciate you coming tonight. And honestly, I can tell you, I know a couple of guys on your team, Vahe being one of them, the drive, the love that you guys still have. I still see you at the training, at the ASC certifications. We love that. And the fact that you guys still are down hard right here mechanics, keep us honest. And a lot of times I text Vahe and ask him, hey, what should I do in a situation like this? And the correct answer is solve the customer's problem.
Yep.
And you guys still do that. So thank you for being here and taking the time. It's nice to see members of BAR joining us on these meetings. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It was definitely it's not only fun, but it's a learning experience, and I get to see what you guys are dealing with daily.
All right. So,
Joseph,
Kirk, back to you and wrap it up.
Joseph, can I say
up a long time ago? This is just extra.
Hey, can I say one thing real quick? Mark Goldsmith, I have a Facebook request from you. I think somebody's cloning your account, so you might want to look into that.
Okay, that might have been me screwing around.
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure.
That was me.
Because Norm friended you, so
Okay.
All right.
All right. We're going to shut it down now. So you've got about 30 seconds to say goodbye to everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
Mario.
Thank you again, Maylan.
Hey, my pleasure. Anytime.
Thanks, Maylan.
Night, guys.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
I'll call you tomorrow, Mark.
Okay, thank you, Melon.
Good night, John.
Us too, Maylan.
Night.
Yeah, just one of many. And Mario, anytime you want to talk, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you.
Good night, Greg.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, John Boy.
Night, Mary Ellen.